McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. Tender, juicy, and its own sauce. Would you look at that? Well, you can't see it, but trust me, it looks delicious. New McCrispy strips, now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Mic check. 1, 2. Are we recording? Hi, I'm Michelle Bernstein, an award-winning chef, restaurateur, and mom. I have a lot on my plate, including my psoriatic arthritis symptoms. That's why I was prescribed Cosentyx. It helps me move better.
Cosentyx secukinumab is prescribed for people 2 years of age and older with active psoriatic arthritis. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting, get checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur, like tuberculosis or other serious bacterial, fungal, or viral infections. Some were fatal. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms like fevers, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, had a vaccine or plan to, or if inflammatory bowel disease symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions and severe eczema-like skin reactions may occur. Learn more at 1-844-COSENTYX or Cosentyx.com.
Ask your rheumatologist about Cosentyx.
Hey y'all, what's up? It is the Carefree Black Girl podcast where we are carefree and black on purpose. It is your girl, Dr. Phoenix Lux, and we are having a 2.0 episode, as you just heard. It's going to be black, brief, and brilliant. We doing hot girl intellect, so you know I love that. You know I'm here with the academic, and without further ado, I would love to introduce our guest who has been doing her thing from Parking Lot Pimpin to now having her own show, Miss Lynae Vanee.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Let's up. I'm so excited, and thank you so much for stopping by. I'm just excited to get into the question. So what inspired you to do Parking Lot Pimpin? Because I know you're a poet, but in Parking Lot Pimpin, you're very informative. You pack in a lot of information. So what was the inspiration behind it?
Actually, I've been preparing for Parking Lot Pimpin all my life. I just didn't know. I've always been a Black history buff. I had just gotten my master's in African American studies, and I was tired of school because it was a 1-year program. And that might not seem like a lot, but it was so much to jump in and immediately be like, this is my thesis and I can defend it. So I needed a little bit of a break, but also I was just so inspired sitting in those classrooms. I had just gotten a 4-year degree from Spelman College and was learning so much about Black people and Black women that I never had come across at any of my readings, and nothing led me to anything close to this. And I was like, oh, this is great, but it cost me $25,000. And so how do I share this information with people that don't got that? I ain't have it either. I took a loan, still ain't paid it.
Oh, that's soon to come, girl. That is soon to come.
Yeah. But not everybody even has access or even the confidence to be able to take out those loans. So I always wanted to bring it outside of academia. I also wanted to make it more accessible and also more fun. I'm a social studies buff. I'm into the history things. I can read it and find interest, but I also feel like it might be on purpose that social studies is taught in boring fashions to young people, then they just have less interest in it. And I think the humanities should be core classes. I'm going on a little bit of a whatever. I'm digressing right now, but I think the humanities should be what we focus on in schools to produce better human beings in society. But that's my piece. Anyways, I went to teach high school after that, and high school students really whip you into shape if you're trying to do things in new and innovative ways. They'll let you know whether it's cool, whether it's whack. And I felt very prepared because it never failed, because I was teaching an elective. I taught regular classes, but Black history was an elective. And I always got seniors who always wanted to leave the class after the first day because I was telling them we have real work to do. But they would say they wanted to leave because they assumed they'd watch movies or write essays, and they already knew that everything they needed to know about Black history. And I would say, what's that? And they would say, Rosa Parks, Dr. King, slavery, and that's it. And our babies believe that is all they need to know about Black history. At least they did. pre-pandemic. And so to get more specific, the pandemic itself and the unfortunate trifecta of murders, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor is what inspired me, because it seemed that people had a taste for it. Like their minds were being open to want more information like this. And so it's one of those things where when you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. And I was just prepared. And I thought I had used a little bit of strategy to see how I was going to do it. But that's what had me sit in my parking lot and start.
I love that. So I'm an AUC girly too. I went to CAU. I've came across a few of your interviews, and I heard you a little bit about the story about how you were going to go to CAU, but they didn't have the interviews set up. So you ended up going to Spelman and being inspired by what you saw. So having degrees from both Spelman and BU, which BU is a PWI, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how did your academic roots, like, I know you touched on it briefly, like how it shaped you, but how did it like shift you? Because I know like in the AUC, we get sort of a different training when it comes to like speaking to each other, but then you had to get your master's at a PWI. So how did that shape your delivery of post-pandemic? Well, pre-pandemic.
Well, I also think my time at Spelman, I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this, but there was more room for creativity and diversity and approach. And it allowed you to see things through different lenses. Because when I got to my PWI and I took a class about the psychology of social oppression, and we were looking at a case study about, I just remember it had to do with somebody being criminalized, and everybody in the room was speaking to, and it was a white person, speaking to how this is just one mistake and this person shouldn't be held accountable for this and da-da-da-da. And then these are people with PhD programs. And I opened my mouth to be like, y'all do this to Black people all the time and don't give us the same set of courtesy, courtesy. And everybody, including the professor, was like, wow, I never thought about it that way. I was like, what do you mean you never thought about it that way? And so I had a lot of instances like that where I actually had two professors at BU that were Spelman grads. And one of them told me she didn't think that I should come because I was coming as a bachelor in psychology, which is not the norm to come to an African American studies program. She said, I don't know if you'll do well here because there's not people here that are set up with knowledge in your field. And I made it in anyway. I was one of two. Then I quickly became the only one because the other person dropped out. But I was always, and some of my professors welcomed it. They were excited about my change in approach or like the way that I thought about things differently. But I kind of consistently had to defend different ways of thinking. And that's also what made it hard to also build my thesis in a place where I was the only one coming from my discipline. But I just even think this is a little bit of an insight from the question, but psychology can really for anything. Like it's one of those subjects that helps you understand people better and understand your job better, no matter what you're doing. So I was glad to have the opportunity, and I definitely think it worked out.
I love that.
So, Lynae, you already know, girl. I'm a fan. I'm a stan. I love you down and everything that you do on socials. But we know that time, short form content is like the way of the world right now. And I myself, I'm on YouTube and stuff, and I love the long form because I feel like I can get out what I got to get out. I don't have to worry about, picking and choosing what I need to include. So my question for you is like, we got the TV show, number one, right? We got the TV show we wanted. So congratulations. But, now that you have this longer format to kind of dive deeper into the culture, the politics, pop culture, how do you think you're going to be able to get deeper with this new format with Revolt?
Yeah, man. The name of the game is nuance. And that's what we try to do with every episode. We try to provide some sort of analysis, but also still achieve that mix of edutainment that we brought from the parking lot, and to stretch that over 45 minutes is a challenge, but I have an amazing team. I was actually able to bring my writing team from the parking lot as well. So we're definitely giving you the same vibes, but something that we are doing something a little bit different that I don't think people expect. We're not going to be tackling headlines every week. We just simply can't. It's not a sustainable framework for what we've got going on, but we are doing evergreen topics that lead into things that are still happening in our everyday, that allow us to pull from things that might not have just happened this week, but are ongoing and also have further implications. And I can't talk too much about what the episodes are, but they're going to air. We're going to premiere on the 20th.
Yeah, no, tomorrow.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you that, like, how are you balancing, like, keeping up with the Joneses and making evergreen content? I wanted to see if you could dive a little deeper into that one.
Yeah.
Like, how are you just, I'm going to let you expound upon that.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to do it without giving you direct examples. Let me see if I can find something outside of something we have planned to give you an example. So, for instance, immigration is always going to be a topic.
Okay.
So we could pull from something that has happened that hasn't necessarily been resolved to ground you in the why it's important to be discussing this right now. We can give you a little bit of historical significance and like grounding it also in terms of how it affects not just immigrant communities, but all of us, because quite literally with the current birthright citizenship being at play about whether or not it's going to be removed, that affects so many Black immigrants. Yes. So using things like that to give us opportunity to talk about it in different pockets. We have about 5 segments per show. Sometimes there's sometimes we have fewer, sometimes we have longer, depending on the guests that we have and how really deep we want to get into conversation. But sometimes it might look like an interview with an expert. Sometimes it might look like a roundtable discussion with people with different purviews to be able to weigh in on a topic. Sometimes I'm going out in the field, hint, quite literally. Sometimes we got men on the street, like we're talking about, but the whole purpose of it is to take what's being discussed in the zeitgeist on the internet, and most of that is negative and non-productive, and we're going to provide some positive interference and also give people tools to combat really unproductive and divisive conversation with real factual information. So, yeah.
I love it. That's a great answer. I feel like you gave me a good hit because it's basically research-based. If people are listening, do your research so that you can always be current and factual. All right.
Love that. I just got to say before we get to the next question, I just got my doctorate last year, and I also that's speaking truth to power. We here. I also have a bachelor's in psychology, and I wasn't going to do my dissertation on trauma and stuff. It was on creativity and play and Black joy. I think that's important. So we here. We don't have to chat, but as we talk about like mental health and joy and how much you're taking on a lot of heavy topics, like you said, they're evergreen. So that means that they are continuous. They're past, present, and we're talking about the future, especially in the political climate. How do you, after taking on this heavy task, how do you pour into yourself after your work is done?
Well, I have a routine now. It was hard. I had a bit of a transition last year, so it was hard to get back into routine for myself. But I move my body every day. I talk to my therapist once a month. I have I'm paying so much more attention to what I'm putting in my body. I drink like tea every morning, quite literally. I do have my own tea in teacups, and that's actually the slogan to my brand, pour into self, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And we might have all seen this, I don't know, but there is someone who was on the internet recently talking about something his therapist said to him. And he said something about pouring from an empty cup. And she was like, wait a minute, you're not supposed to pour. People are supposed to get your overflow. And that's what nourishes people. And I've just taken that very personally to just make sure, whether it's spiritually, physically, personally, I'm building habits that allow me to overflow, and that's what I'm giving. And that's kind of what the people are saying with my poetry. Now that I've tapped back into that, that's what they'll see with the People's Brief, and anything else that I produce. And to your point, Leslie, go ahead and getting on this YouTube journey to give people a little bit more and like less rehearsed and a little bit more raw. Yeah.
That's good. I gotta get into my little therapist soapbox because I literally just told a client this week that when you're helping others, help, especially for Black women, is not when you give your all and martyr yourself, but what you can still do and still be well to continue your journey. Yeah. And so I'm really glad to hear that you say that you're giving that overflow, which is still abundant, because that means you're taking care of yourself to the point where it can nourish other people. So I'm really glad to hear you say that. And, we're going to lighten it up a little bit and play a little game.
This game is called Who Said That? So basically, I'm going to say a quote or phrase, lyric, what have you, and in a different voice, or probably like, in a different tone. And you are going to have to guess from options who said that. Okay.
Got options.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think we got options. We got options on that.
Yeah, options,
okay.
Right.
So here are the 4 people. Okay. Audre Lorde. And y'all let me know if I'm pronouncing it wrong, y'all. Audre Lorde. Lynae Vanee. Beyonce. And Nikki Giovanni. So those are the 4 options. Okay. So the first quote is, caring for yourself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation. I did my best, child. Who said that?
I'm gonna go with, just because I think I will recognize this other person's quote whenever you say it, I'm gonna go with Nikki Giovanni. Did Nikki say that?
Ooh.
Yikes.
No.
Hey. Shoot. Was it Audrey?
Yeah, girl. She said that. Audre Lorde said that. Audre Lorde said that. But either way, the quote stands true, no matter who said it, child.
Okay.
I'm going to keep it Black, but I'm going to keep it brief.
I think an icon said that one.
Somebody, a legend.
ICON. I'm not bossy. Sorry. I'm a boss.
Beyonce.
Ooh.
Beyonce.
Big B. Big B with the boss.
You got that one. So that's good. 2 out of 3. That's actually very fabulous. Hand claps for our guests.
You feel like the first
clap. Yes. We're going to jump right into the next game. So instead of hot or not, we're going to play lot or not. And so lot or not is a rapid fire game. We're going to just kind of sound off and popcorn a topic. And then you tell us if it's lot, whether it deserves a conversation, keeping it Black and keeping it brief, or is it not? Like, we're not even bringing that. We're not Parking Lot Pimpin to that one.
Okay.
And so the first one is TikTok activism.
Not.
Woo. I agree.
Next question. Okay. The next one is Black women aren't feminine discourse. Lots or not? Honey, it's giving, no?
When we start this game, I said to myself, I'm not going to talk about any of these things, but some of these things are going to have to be discussed. And that's what the parking lot is all about. It's not necessarily always what I want to talk about, but what the people need to hear more of what's better for community. So I'm going to say a lot.
Oh, period. I love that way.
I love that, though.
Yeah. Voting, lots or not. Voting in small elections.
Lot.
The next one, AI rappers.
Not. Graham.
Girl. And our last one is colorism in Hollywood.
I'm gonna say not. only because I do think we are making some impressive headway in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
I think we are in conversation. Yeah, I think, yeah. Work can absolutely still be done, but there's a lot of things that deserve to be talked about in the parking lot right now, about the state of the world in the union as such.
Absolutely. We love to hear it.
Understood.
Keep it black and brief and important.
All right, so we have our last segment. Well, second to last segment, but it's our Get Free segment. And this is a part of our 2.0 episodes where we leave the girls with a carefree key for the community. And this can be any reflection, mantra, advice, etc. So, Lynae, we want to ask you, like, what would you want to leave our audience with today that may be inspirational, or just anything that you want to give us to pour into us?
I almost cried. Once you strap into obedience, it all gets easier. It all works out. And that obedience will be your cool noodle of patience. Yeah. To carry you through. If you are focused on being obedient every day, you're not going to be worried about tomorrow. You're not going to be worried about the next month. Everything is going to take care of itself. Yeah.
With God, one day at a time. I feel that.
That was the word.
That was a word.
Love that.
I kind of feel like God like lovingly called me in a little bit. But I'm gonna say it right.
What was that thing, girl? Wrote your hand on that one.
Lovingly might be the word. Softly and gently, maybe not. Because I definitely feel like that.
No.
That's like I grabbed God's hand and we stopped for water to use the bathroom or nothing.
He dragged you through.
Just been going.
He'll drag us now. Okay.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That was a bar.
Yeah.
And really quickly, we want to go to our Black Girl Business Corner, where we want to shout out any Black girl businesses that are doing their thing. We definitely want to highlight Lynae's production company From the Lot. Also give you a chance to talk about your collaborations with Netflix, Revolt. Also, if you want to talk about your nonprofit as well, we love to hear about that. So the floor is yours.
Well, I think the first thing that I'll say as a Black girl in business is to know when to put things down, and to know when to know when to put things down, and to know what your resources are, and that you do not have to be your only resource. So with that said, From the Lot has been ongoing and pumping and running since I started the parking lot. It's something that I created for myself to protect myself, because I am on the internet running my mouth. So it was, I had mentors who let me know that the LLC was best for me. And through that, I've been able to create like this content house essentially around myself and around my intellectual property. It's also been a really beautiful thing because I hired some of my high school students very early on in the process, and they're still working with me today. Like, they've come to the People's Brief with me. And we've just been able to do some really amazing and creative things and work with so many great people. Beyond that, my nonprofits based in voting, voter education and things like that. We are able to be in league with some other really amazing people. Also, resources for us, I like to shout out P68, Project 68. They are really, they are championing, they are leading the charge rather to fight against disinformation. And also we're in league with Kendrick Sampson's Build Power. I always want to call him Bold Power, Build Power. We made a beautiful effort last year traveling to South Georgia on the Who All Gonna Be There Road to the Polls bus tour. And we met loads of people who are just, not as exposed, or just like people don't talk to them. Most of the time we go to major cities and talk about voting, and we don't get to the outskirts when the outskirts are the ones that matter. As we learned, Georgia is not Atlanta, and often reflects in the vote. But yes, I will also say that it's important to be in community and in league with other folks and be tapped into their resources and their knowledge, especially when we're in the face of legislation that could make our work strip us of our nonprofit status. So all of us are kind of playing things by ear right now and kind of performing our work on an individual basis, but also just staying in community in that regard. Vane is still in effect. The tariffs are also in effect, though. So we just figuring everything out, you know, and we literally make China. So,
no, I feel you, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. So figuring things out and not being in a rush, or not even a rush, but not trying to force outcomes. And that's just where I am with everything. I'm allowed all the things that I have going, all the irons I have in the fire to be what they need to be. And I'm just going to stay strapped in disobedience. And right now, that means I need to be focused on the people's grief. So.
No, that's right. It all sounds good. It sounds like in due time, everything will work itself out. But we definitely want to just give you that time to shout out yourself and let the community know what else you have going on. You know what I'm saying? Because the girls love the support. So we want to make sure that we are pouring into you in all parts.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. I thank you for this platform to carve out space to intentionally encourage women to be carefree Black girls is so important. And I know the 92% is on their Carista freeze right now. But I also love that platforms like these highlight the necessity of balance and ensuring that even while we are ensuring that we understand that guarding ourselves can also look like still extending our hands, but only insofar as we're still okay, you know, and we're stronger like that. It's like forming a net, you know.
It's a quote that I like, because I call myself joyfully militant, like being carefree, but I still have to be about that action. I always remember I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And so I would love to grow flowers and fruit and flourish, but also being prepared. Like you said, so, you know, when you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So just, you know, y'all remember that. So we can be carefree, but we still need to be in tune. And again, thank you so much for doing that in a way that I feel like our people receive it and in a way that's really authentic.
Thank you, Lynae Vanee. Just want to make sure we say the whole thing for joining us today. Be sure to drop a line and let us know where people know where they can find you. You know, we know that you're outside doing your thing, just in case it's a few carefree Black girls under a rock somewhere. Let them know where they can find you.
You can find me anywhere on all social media platforms at Lynae Vanee. That's LYNAEVANEE. And you can find me on Revolt Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. on the People's Free. Period.
Hey, welcome to the fam. All right, y'all. This has been an episode of Carefree Black Girl Podcast. If y'all have been following us, we are on tour right now. Make sure that y'all come to the Carefree Black Girl Cookout. The next stop is this Sunday, May 25th in Philly. We are going to do some things for Pride Month. And then we have our big festival in Brooklyn, July 19th. We'll update y'all as things come. Make sure you follow the Carefree Black Girl Podcast on Carefree Black Girl Inc. and listen to us on Revolt. I'm Quana. Y'all can follow me if y'all would like, Quana MC on all platforms. Passing it off to Big Liz.
Yeah, you already know it's Big Bad Liz, not the little one. Y'all can catch me every Sunday at 3 p.m. on YouTube. But most importantly, make sure y'all subscribe to the newsletter at www.leslielatrice.com. All right, what's the Venus?
It's your girl, Dr. Phoenix Lux, your favorite fancy baddie cosplay therapist, blur historian. You can get me at Phoenix Lux, Dr. Phoenix Lux. I had to change it. Dr. Phoenix Lux on everything, Blurdy Love on Instagram. Also, please follow my mental health practice designed for Black women in FemBees. It is the Care Salon, spelled SOULAAN. That's where you can catch me. And this has been another episode of Carefree Black Girl Podcast, powered by Revolt, where everything is carefree, black, and girl.
If you're looking for flavor, rhythm, and real culture, Chicago is where it's at. Hit a street fest in Pilsen, catch a free show in Millennium Park, or vibe out to a house music set where it all began. Then take that summer energy and roll through the rest of the state, hitting up hidden gems, chill outdoor escapes, and road trips for days. Enjoy Illinois, the middle of everything. Plan your trip at enjoyillinois.com.